You've said it before. I'm done. After the blown account. After the revenge trade. After that one position you knew you shouldn't have taken. You closed the platform. You felt disgusted. Maybe even embarrassed. And in that moment, you meant it. You were done. But then something happens. A few days pass. Maybe a week. You start checking charts just to look. You tell yourself you're not trading. You're just observing. Just staying sharp. And then, one setup looks clean. One move looks obvious. One opportunity feels different. And suddenly you're back in. So what is that? Weak discipline? Addiction? Lack of self-control? No, it's deeper than that. Because if it were just lack of discipline, you wouldn't feel so torn about it. The truth is, trading creates unfinished emotional loops. And humans hate unfinished loops. When you quit after a loss, your brain doesn't file it as closure. It files it as incomplete. You didn't win. You didn't master it. You didn't prove you could do it. You walked away wounded. And wounded ambition doesn't rest. It waits. That's why you come back. Not because you forgot the pain, but because your identity didn't get resolution. Trading challenges competence. It challenges control. It challenges intelligence. And when something challenges those things, quitting feels like surrender, even if you logically know stepping away was smart. So you return, not always for money, sometimes for redemption. And redemption is a powerful pull, especially in a market that always gives you another chance. That's the trap. The market never closes the door, so your brain never gets forced closure. And until you understand that dynamic, you'll keep mistaking emotional loops for passion. Good. It's not the money. It's the identity. Most people think you come back for the money. That's the surface explanation. But if it was just money, you'd find another vehicle. A job. A business. A safer investment. You don't go back to trading because it's the only way to earn. You go back because it attacks something personal. Trading exposes you. It shows you your impatience. Your impulsiveness, your ego. You need to be right. And when you walk away after a loss, it doesn't just feel like you lost money. It feels like the market exposed a flaw. That stings. Because now it's not financial. It's psychological. You're not trying to win back dollars. You're trying to win back dignity. You're trying to prove to yourself, I'm not careless. I'm not weak. I can master this. That's why quitting feels temporary, because the identity wound is still open. And identity wounds don't heal through avoidance. They heal through resolution. The problem? If you return without self-awareness, you're not trading strategically. You're trading emotionally. You're trading to repair how you feel about yourself. And that's when the cycle repeats. You take a few trades. You feel hopeful again. Then volatility hits. You slip. You overtrade. You break rules. And the same frustration resurfaces. Now you're back at, I'm done. But you're not done. Because the real issue was never solved. You never separated your identity from your P&L. Now, can we talk about the dopamine you pretend isn't there? Let's be honest about something most traders avoid admitting. It's not just about mastery. It's not just about freedom. There's a rush, a clean setup forming, price approaching your level, the moment before execution, heart rate slightly elevated, focus sharpened. That feeling, that's chemistry. Trading lights up the same reward circuitry as competition, gambling, even extreme sports. Uncertainty plus potential reward equals dopamine. And dopamine doesn't disappear just because you said, I'm done. When you quit after a painful streak, your nervous system crashes. No charts, no setups, no anticipation. Everything feels flat, boring, quiet in a way that almost feels uncomfortable. That's withdrawal, not from money, from stimulation. So a few days later, when you just check the charts, your brain wakes back up. Patterns, movement, possibility. It feels alive again. And you tell yourself, I'm not addicted. I just love the game. Maybe. But love and chemical reinforcement can look very similar. The problem isn't that trading is stimulating. The problem is when stimulation becomes the reason you return. Because then you're not executing a system. You're chasing a feeling. And feelings don't respect risk management. They escalate. First it's one small trade. Then it's two. Then you size up because the rush feels good again. And suddenly you're back in the same emotional cycle you swore you were done with. The market didn't pull you back. Your nervous system did. When you say, I'm done, most of the time you're not making a strategic decision. You're reacting. You're overwhelmed. You're frustrated. You're disappointed in yourself. And walking away feels powerful in that moment. It feels like control, like you're taking your power back. But look closely. Are you actually quitting trading? Or are you quitting the discomfort? Because there's a difference. Quitting trading would mean you analyzed your performance. You assessed whether this aligns with your personality. You evaluated your risk tolerance. You made a calm, detached decision. That's rare. What usually happens is this. You break rules. You spiral. You feel ashamed. And you want the emotion to stop. So you say, I'm done. Not because trading is wrong for you, but because facing your behavior is uncomfortable. And here's the part most traders don't admit. When you come back, it's not always about the money. Sometimes it's because unfinished discomfort still exists. You haven't proven to yourself that you can trade disciplined. You haven't proven you can follow rules under pressure. You haven't proven you can sit through a drawdown calmly. So walking away doesn't feel like growth. It feels like escape. And ambitious people hate escaping. They want to conquer. That's why you return. Not because you're weak, but because something inside you refuses to leave the battlefield without winning at least one clean fight. The danger? If you return without fixing the internal pattern, you're just replaying the same movie with a different starting balance. Have you enjoyed this video so far? Hit the like button so more people can see it. And please feel free to comment below if it's resonating with you. Back to trading. Usually, after a bad streak, something interesting happens. You don't just say, I'm done. You start blaming the market. It's manipulated. It's random. It's impossible. And in that moment, the market becomes the villain. That actually feels good. Because if the market is the problem, then you're not. But here's what's dangerous about that. When you cast something as a villain, your brain wants a comeback story. Think about it. If the market beat you, quitting feels like letting it win. And no one likes losing to a villain. So what do? You return. Not with clarity, but with revenge energy. Even if it's subtle, you want to prove it wrong. You want to show that you can outsmart it. You want to reclaim control. That's not strategy. That's ego disguised as determination. And revenge trading doesn't always look reckless. Sometimes it looks disciplined. Sometimes it looks patient. But underneath it, there's tension. There's urgency. There's something to prove. And when you're trading to win an argument with the market, you're not trading probabilities anymore. You're trading pride. And pride is expensive. That's why you keep going back. Because emotionally, the story doesn't feel finished. You need a redemption arc. You need a moment where you say, see, I knew I could do this. Until that happens, walking away feels incomplete. Here's something that's hard to admit. You're not addicted to trading. You're addicted to potential. Every time you open the charts, there's possibility. This could be the clean breakout. This could be the week everything clicks. This could be the run that changes momentum. The market constantly whispers, maybe this time, and maybe is powerful, because potential feels better than reality. Reality has drawdowns, slippage, emotional mistakes, but potential is clean. Potential is profitable. Potential is disciplined. So when you say, I'm done, you're usually reacting to painful reality. But after a few days, the pain fades and the potential returns. Your brain remembers the wins. It remembers the days you felt sharp. It remembers the one perfect trade. And it quietly says, you were close. That's the hook. Being close. Almost there. One breakthrough away. That feeling keeps you attached. Not because you're irrational, but because ambition mixed with uncertainty is magnetic. The market always offers another opportunity. It never locks you out. And as long as the door stays open, your brain believes the breakthrough is still possible. That belief is powerful, but without structure, it turns into a loop. Quit. Cool off. Remember the potential. Come back. Repeat. Now let's wrap this. Here's the truth. You keep going back because you're not actually done. Not with trading. With yourself. Trading exposed something in you. Your impulses. Your ego. Your fear. Your need for control. And walking away doesn't fix those. It just pauses the confrontation. So when you return, it's not weakness. It's unfinished business. The mistake isn't coming back. The mistake is coming back the same. Same emotional triggers. Same lack of structure. Same identity tied to outcomes. If you're going to return, return evolved. Return with rules written down. Return with position, sizing defined. Return knowing that your worth has nothing to do with your P&L. Because the market isn't your enemy. It's a mirror. And if you keep smashing the mirror, you'll never fix the reflection. The real shift happens when you stop trying to win it back and start trying to master yourself. That's when the cycle breaks. So let me ask you something real. When you said, I'm done, what were you actually quitting? The market or the version of yourself you didn't like seeing? Drop the word loop in the comments if you've been stuck in it. And if this channel is putting words to things you felt but couldn't explain, make sure you subscribe. Because we're not here to glorify trading. We're here to understand it. And more importantly, understand ourselves inside it. Let's meet up in the comments.